Good morning. Let's begin the first Dharma family service of 2022 by singing the Vandana Tisarana. Let's sing the Pali and English verses together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhamman saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Buddha. Let's sing the hymn, Gasho with Amida, and you'll find the words on the screen. I recite Amida's name with deep joy and gratitude. I gasho with Amida, trees and grasses and flowers all grow in great compassion. This light shines throughout the world. I gasho with Amida, flowers bloom and flowers fall, from the seed sprout new flowers. This is the truth unchanging. I gasho with Amida, springtime brings the happy birds, their songs all praise Amida. I join them in Nembutsu. I gasho with Amida. When I call Amida's name, it's Amida calling me. Buddha's voice, my voice are one. I gasho with Amida. When I'm lonely, I recite Namo Amida Butsu. Then I feel great compassion. I gasho with Amida. Nembutsu in work and play, every day with Amida, every moment filled with light. I gasho with Amida. Remember the golden chain, kindness to all living things. I will follow this teaching. I gasho with Amida. In the clear bright morning sun, in the fading light of day, in the darkness of the night, I gasho with Amida. Namo Amida Butsu. I live in great compassion. This great power guides my life. I gasho with Amida. The virtue of Amida's vow is shared equally by all, together attaining awakened mind. We are born in the land of peace. Let's sit together quietly for a few moments. So just relax and get comfortable. If you are able, sit forward in your seat and place both feet flat on the ground. Sit up straight, align your head, neck, shoulders, and back in a straight line that goes down to the floor. Place your hands comfortably in your lap. Now close your eyes and just breathe. Breathe in and breathe out. In and out. As you breathe in, you'll feel energy filling your body. And as you breathe out, any stress or worries in your mind just fade away. Just breathe. The sound of the gong will signal the end of our quiet meditation. Namanda, Vitsanamanda, Vitsanamanda, Vitsanamanda. Namanda, Vitsanamanda. If you're able to do so at home, we'd like to encourage everyone to offer incense at this time. The offering of incense is an ancient rite of purification of mind and body in preparation to listen to the Dharma teachings. Offertory, or making donations to the temple, is the practice of dana, the first of the 6 paramita perfections, selfless generosity. If you'd like to make a donation or an offering, please scan this QR code, or you can go to our website, makawao.org, and you can click on donate. Let's read the Golden Chain of Love together. I am a link in Amida Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that on what I do now depends not only my happiness or unhappiness, but also that of others. May every link in Amida's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namo Amida Buddha, entrusting an all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion for the great enlightenment to come. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Buddha. Namo. Okay, we're going to change sets, so give us a second and I'll go down to the floor.
Live from Makawao, it's Children's Dharma Story Time, starring Barkley the dog, Lucy the ladybug, with special guests Green Snoopy and Kermit the Gosho frog. Hey Sensei, you forgot the puppets. Hang on. Okay, it's been a while since we've done Bee-ha! Good morning. Aloha kakahiaka. Ohio gozaimasu. It's me, Barkley the dog. How y'all doing this fine Sunday morning? I hope you're well and feeling fine. Mahalo for joining us here in the historic Makawao town on the beautiful island of Maui in the great state of Hawaii. Good morning. Aloha kako. Aloha for everyone. I'm so happy to see all of you here this morning. Sorry, let's see where we are. This way. Okay, Barkley, let's put on our magic glasses from Maui Optics and see who's here with us this morning. Well, that's a great idea, Lucy. Let's see. Let me put on my glasses. Let me see. We got, there's Liliana. I'm sorry, Lilinoy and Meliana and Kava and Lena and Micah and Emmy and Nora and Cole and Maddie and Todd and Cruz and Ison and Jai and Stella and Melody and Cadence and Kenneth, Sierra, Lindsay, Wesley, Benji, Tori, and Tyrus and Coletta. And look, I can see Sensei buddies around the world, in Hong Kong and in Japan and Nepal and Brazil and Hungary and all over the place. Hoo-wee! Wow, that list keeps getting bigger and bigger every week. Good thing we have so many sponsors of the Children's Dharma Storytime whose generous offerings make it possible for us to live stream every week. So scan this QR code Or go to makawao.hongwanji.org and you can become a sponsor too. Hey, wait, well, oops, where are we? Mahalo. Gonna go this way. Mahalo. Arigato, shay, dankeschön, thank you. And thank you, everyone, for your kind generosity, which makes it possible for us to read today's story, which is Grandpa's Mixed Up Luau by Tammy Paikai. Okay, let's go to full screen. Grandpa's Mixed Up Luau, written by Tammy Paikai and illustrated by Don Robinson. What a beautiful day for a luau, said Grandma. She had invited her children and grandchildren to her house for a traditional Hawaiian feast. She smiled as she thought of the delicious food she would serve. Her favorite was kalua pig, baked in an imu. She also liked lau, juicy steamed pork wrapped in taro leaves. For dessert, she would have haupia, made with sweet coconut milk. And, of course, she would get some sticky purple poi, which made all food taste ono, delicious. Grandma needed Grandpa's help. Grandpa was sweet and helpful, but a little hard of hearing. Grandma asked Grandpa to go to the market right down the road. Grandpa, would you please bring me some poi? Okay, Grandma, Grandpa said with a smile as he walked out the door. Grandma was sweeping the floor when Grandpa walked in with the little Hawaiian boy who lived next door. Grandma asked, "Where is the poi?" And Grandpa said, "Awe, I thought you said boy." No, not boy. I said poi, Grandma exclaimed. But that's okay. Would you please bring me some haupia? Okay, Grandma, Grandpa said with a smile as he walked out the door. Grandma was setting up the tables and chairs when Grandpa walked in with the little Hawaiian girl that also lived next door. Grandma asked, "Where is the haupia?" Grandpa said, "Awe, I thought you said malia." No, not malia. I said haupia, Grandma exclaimed. But that's okay. Would you please bring me some lau? Okay, Grandma, Grandpa said with a smile as he walked out the door. Grandma was putting out plates, forks, and spoons when Grandpa came home with many hula dancers dressed in colorful tops and tea leaf skirts with pretty flowers in their hair. Grandma asked, "Where's the lau?" And Grandpa said, "Awe, I thought you said halal." No, not halal. I said lau, Grandma exclaimed. Grandpa, if you don't bring us something to eat, we won't be able to have our luau. Now, would you please bring me some kalua pig? Okay, Grandma, Grandpa said with a smile as he walked out the door. Grandma was mixing a bunch of passion fruit punch when Grandpa came home with several strong men carrying a canoe. Grandma asked, "Where's the kalua pig?" Grandpa said, "Awe, I thought you said canoe that's big." No, not canoe that's big. I said kalua pig, Grandma exclaimed. We need food for the luau. We have a lot of people to feed, but we don't have any food. Grandma gave a big sigh. Honestly, I don't know what to do. Okay, Grandma, Grandpa said with a smile as he walked out the door. Grandma was cooking a big pot of rice when Grandpa came home. Grandma asked, "What is that?" Grandpa said, "Just what you asked for, a lot of stew." Grandma couldn't believe her eyes. In the back of Grandpa's truck were about 100 containers of Hawaiian stew. Grandma shook her head and laughed. "I said, I don't know what to do, not a lot of stew." She kissed Grandpa on the cheek and said, "Mahalo, Grandpa. Thank you for bringing all of this stew. Now we can have a luau with our ohana and our new friends." The children and grandchildren all arrived. Malia and her brother brought over their parents. The canoe paddlers sang and played with the ukulele, and the hula dancers danced. Both Grandma and Grandpa smiled as they passed out bowls of stew. And everyone enjoyed themselves at Grandpa's mixed-up luau. And that was the story, Grandpa's Mixed-Up Luau, written by Tammy Paikai and illustrated by Don Robinson. Great. Wasn't that a great story? What part did you like? Really? Sensei liked that part too. Well, hey, Sensei, that's because this is about the third or fourth time you're reading the story. Well, that's absolutely right, Barkley. Let's see, where am I? Can't really see you. We need to move this way. Nope, sorry. Move this way. Note to self, everything's backwards when you're looking in the camera. Okay, here we go. Well, Sensei, that's about the third or fourth time you read the story. Well, that's very true, Barkley. It's probably because it's one of my favorite stories. You know why? Because when I first came to Hawaii, I was really confused about how things work here, particularly Pidgin. I had no idea what people were saying. So I sympathize with Grandpa because it's like, what did you say? I'm sorry. Now, actually, if you talk to Mimi, she'll tell you, well, gee, Gary, you do that all the time. You're like, what? So, yeah, I'm having some trouble hearing, but that's okay. Well, that's okay, Sensei. There she is. That's okay, Sensei, because we love you anyway, even though you can't hear as well as you used to. Well, thank you very much. That's really nice of you there. You know, I'm getting hungry. I think we should have a luau. So, what do you say? Let's see. Hey, kids, where do you think we should go get some food, huh? What's that? Oh, Benji, you said we should go to the Tasty Crust for pancakes? That sounds really good. Yeah, we'll see you there. Hey, Lucy, did I ever tell you about the time I invented pancakes? Oh, really? I don't know. I'm not sure, but I'd love to hear the story. Well, you see, one day, there I was mixing up some pans and some cakes, and the next thing you know, fade to black. Okay. Well, that sort of worked out, not really. But, okay, so we're going to switch. No, actually, Sensei, you forgot the stuff again. Oh, Sensei, you forgot. Okay, here we go. Be good, but not too much. Okay, Sensei, be good, but not too much. Okay, we're going to switch to the Dharma talk for adults now, which is called Samsara Is Nirvana. So there we go. Okay. Okay, so Samsara is Nirvana, which is kind of an interesting expression. Let's begin with the words of Shinran Shonin. The light of compassion that grasps us, illumines and protects us always. The darkness of our ignorance is already broken through. Still, the clouds and mists of greed and desire, anger and hatred cover as always the sky of true and real Shinjin. The wisdom of Shinran Shonin. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Now this is an excerpt from the Shoshinge, the hymn of true Shinjin and Nembutsu. Shoshin Nembutsuge is the full name in Japanese. And it's a very important passage. Where are we? Oops, sorry, wrong button there. So, aloha and good morning. Today, we are observing the memorial service for Shinran Shonin, which is one of the most significant religious services in the Jodo Shinshu Hongwanji tradition. In Japanese, this major service is called Goshoki Ho-onko, Ho-onko, which has to be the most difficult Japanese word ever written in English. It's correctly pronounced Ho-on-ko, right? Ho-on-ko. It's not Hunko or Ho-an-ko. It's when you spell it, push it all together, it's like, how are you supposed to say this? Hunko. So anyway, that's one of those things. The kanji character is very interesting. It actually means repay, gratitude, one's debt of gratitude. On is a very difficult word to explain in English. And then ko, which is basically a gathering. So it's the gathering. Today is the gathering to repay our debt of obligation, our debt of gratitude to Shinran Shonin. So usually this is one of the few times that you would see me in ceremonial robes. And I would ascend to the Raiban, which is, it's kind of behind the screen, but you can see this little platform here. It's a ceremonial platform called the Raiban. And I would be performing special protocols, special saho, so the rites and rituals, in front of the altar to Amida. And after the service, we'd normally share otoki, refreshments, and traditionally, the meal would be either entirely vegetarian or vegan. Now, in Japan, this service includes the chanting of Shoshinge in this very ceremonial style. And again, the special saho, there's a very special set of protocols and rites and rituals that we do. And the reading of the life story of Shinran Shonin in the traditional style. I'd be delighted to show off my training and read the life story of Shinran in the traditional style. But be forewarned, it takes about 3 hours. So, would you like me to read it? Raise your hand. Nobody? Okay. Well, maybe next time. Maybe next time we'll read the entire life story of Shinran Shonin. As Buddhists in the Hongwanji tradition, we express our gratitude to Shinran Shonin each year in this way, to remind us of the precious gift that we have been given, the path to birth in the Pure Land and becoming Buddha, the gift of the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, entrusting in all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion, the faith of Shinjin. But once again, we are live streaming from an empty temple hall due to causes and conditions outside of our control. Right? Causes and conditions out of our control. Out of control. That pretty much describes life during a global pandemic, doesn't it? Everything that we counted on in the past is changing so fast. It's changing constantly. It's out of our control. It's chaotic. People are confused. Other people are deluding themselves by desperately clinging to an ego-centered belief in fake news, misinformation, conspiracy theories. People are compelled to act out their rage and fear and greed. And this is the world of samsara, the realm of endless birth and death, the realm of human confusion and delusion in which we live. The truth of impermanence is being proved to us over and over again in our lives by this constant change and the upheaval of social, political, and even religious norms. So the truth of suffering in human life is being demonstrated by extreme weather events and natural disasters and, sadly, human violence. The truth of non-self, the illusion of self, the delusion that our ego self is true and real, it's right in front of us. It's right in front of our eyes when we look in the mirror. Out of control, out of control. It's easy to feel despair, to be depressed, to withdraw into our shell. It's easy to seek escape through alcohol, drugs, food, or Facebook. It's easy to blame the other for all of our problems. It's easy to give up. It's easy to lose hope. It's hard to be grateful for your life just as it is when your life is not what you want it to be. And yet, Buddhism teaches Samsara is Nirvana. So in the realm of human confusion and delusion is found Nirvana, the extinguishing of insatiable desire, awakening to reality as it is, enlightenment, becoming Buddha. Especially today, in the midst of COVID, confusion, and chaos, let's take a moment to consider the meaning and significance of this phrase, Samsara is Nirvana. So, what's samsara? Samsara is the Buddhist worldview that there are 6 realms of existence. There's the animal realm, wild animals just acting instinctively. There's the hell realm, which is very similar to Dante's Inferno, the Western conception of hell, of eternal torment, eternal pain, eternal suffering. There's the realm of hungry ghosts, also known as gaki. So some of you really rascally kids out in the audience, if you were a real rascal when you were young, your grandma or your mom and dad might have said, "Hey, gaki!" Right? And a gaki is a hungry ghost. A separate sermon, it's a very interesting story. But essentially, these are the ghosts of people whose desire cannot be satisfied. Insatiable desire. So they're starving, but every piece of food they put in their mouth bursts into flames. And there's this huge buffet table out there. But every time they put food in their mouth, it goes poosh, it bursts into flame. They can never satisfy their desires. And that's the lower levels of hell. The higher level, I'm sorry, not hell, of the realms of existence. The upper levels are kind of interesting. There's the human realm in which we live, right? Born human. But this is the world of human confusion and delusion. Then there are deva, or demigods, semi-gods, demigods, and then there are gods, with an S, so plural. There are gods, and essentially the Buddhist worldview says, we are in this cycle of birth and death, birth, death, birth, death, birth, death, birth, death. You can cycle, in between the different levels of existence, the different realms. But you can never escape this endless cycle of birth and death. So Buddhism is the path to escape this endless cycle of birth, death, birth, death, birth, death, birth, death. This worldview, the 6 realms of existence, is held literally by some Buddhists, as being literal. And other Buddhists interpret this teaching as a metaphor for the psychological states of the human mind. So what is nirvana? In contrast, what is nirvana? Nirvana, or nibbana in Pali, is the blowing out or quenching, the extinguishing of the activities of the worldly mind and its related suffering. So in other words, it's extinguishing insatiable, ego-centered desires, our selfish desires and cravings, right, which we can never satisfy, but we still want more. And this causes suffering in human life. So nirvana, the extinguishing of this self-centered craving and desire, this is the goal of the Buddhist path, of all Buddhist paths, nirvana, right? And marks the soteriological release from worldly suffering and rebirth in samsara. So nirvana is the goal of all Buddhist paths. If you've been paying attention during Dharma talks, nirvana is the third of the four noble truths taught by the Buddha. And the 4th noble truth is the Eightfold Noble Path to realizing nirvana in this life, in this body. So in other words, becoming Buddha in this life, you follow the Eightfold Noble Path. The specific methodology taught by Gautama Buddha requires leaving home. In Japanese, this expression is shukke. So to go off, to leave home and become a monk. You give up everything, you turn your back on this material world, you shave your head, you become a monk, and you live by monastic rules. Basically, no sex, drugs, or rock and roll. Absolute commitment and dedication to study, practice, meditation, chanting, until you become Buddha or you die trying. And this is the path that Shinran followed for 20 years, from age 9, when he left home, when and underwent tokudo, when they shaved his head, and he became a monk. So age 9. And for 20 years, Shinran studied and practiced and lived by monastic precepts at Mount Hiei, the center of Buddhism in Japan. But he failed to overcome his passions and desires, and despaired that he was incapable of realizing nirvana on his own. Shinran undertook a 100-day retreat at the Rokkaku-do in Kyoto, which still exists today, and you can visit it. And on the 95th day, Shinran had a vision of the Kannon Bodhisattva telling him to seek the Pure Land teachings as taught by Honen, the founder of the Jodoshu Pure Land School, and the Nembutsu teachings, the practice of Nembutsu. So at age 29, Shinran leaves Mount Hiei and becomes a disciple of Honen. He has discovered the spiritual truth that he was seeking. At age 35, Shinran is sent into exile when Honen and the entire Jodo Pure Land sect and the practice of Nembutsu is banned by imperial edict. Shinran loses his status as a monk. He loses his status as a priest. He's given a criminal name and forced into poverty and subsistence farming in a remote area far from the capital city of Tokyo. Now remember, right, Shinran is of noble birth. He's an aristocratic birth. He lived as a monk his entire life inside the monastery. He knows nothing of normal life, nothing of normal lay people's lives, how to grow rice or anything. So Shinran gives himself the name Gutoku, which means foolish, stubble-headed one. And because he realizes he's neither monk nor layperson, Shinran's passion for the Nembutsu compels him to share the path to birth in the Pure Land and becoming Buddha with everyone he encounters, without discrimination or judgment, regardless of whether they could read or write, or whether they have any money, or whether they're peasant or whatever. At the time, you have to remember, Buddhism was available only to the noble, the wealthy, the powerful. Becoming a monk was not an option for peasants. Namu Amida Butsu becomes the path of liberation for the masses. The Nembutsu is Buddhism for the rest of us. Shinran is the first monk to openly marry and have children, and to live the life of a householder, a spouse, a parent. Shinran Shonin and Eshin Ni lived among the common people, the farmers and villagers of rural Japan, and by their example opened a Buddhist path for them, a path that had been closed up until then. So until Shinran, only the noble, wealthy, and powerful could leave home, could shukken, and become a monk. So the path of nirvana becomes open to all people, regardless of social status, age, ability, education, wealth, or power. The practice of Nembutsu is simple. Just say Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu is the name of Amida Buddha. Namu Amida Butsu is the calling voice of Amida. When you hear the calling voice of Amida, Namu Amida Butsu, you realize the voice is calling to you. The path of birth in the Pure Land is for you. That you have been brought to this realization in your unrepeatable life through the working of Amida's vow to save all. Amida's vow to save you. So when you say Namu Amida Butsu, the name of Amida Buddha, you are saying Namu, take refuge. Amida, immeasurable life and light, compassion and wisdom. Butsu, Buddha. So together, Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu is my path to birth in the Pure Land. And that's why in Jodo Shinshu, in the Hongwanji tradition, we really only have one practice that you need to be concerned about. And that's putting our palms together and bowing our heads and saying Namu Amida Butsu. That's really the only practice that we have. So, Namu, right, the left hand is represented by the left hand. This is me, confused and lost in this realm of human confusion and delusion. I'm constantly being tricked by my ego self. Now, Amida is the right hand. It's great love and great compassion, working tirelessly in my unrepeatable life, my path to becoming Buddha. And Butsu is Buddha. So put together, Namu Amida Butsu, right, is my path to birth in the Pure Land, becoming Buddha, returning to this world in oneness with Amida to save all beings without discrimination or judgment. When compassion and wisdom working in your unrepeatable life bring you to encounter this teaching, to connect you with Amida's great love, to bring you to the faith of Shinjin, and trusting in all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion for the great enlightenment to come, then you realize that you have no doubt that you're on the path that leads to your birth in the Pure Land, to your becoming Buddha, to your returning in oneness with Amida, to this world of samsara, this realm of human confusion and delusion, to guide others to their birth in the Pure Land and becoming Buddha. And then we say Namu Amida Butsu in joy and gratitude, expressing our gratitude for Amida's great love and compassion, reaching out to us, calling us, take refuge, reaching out to us just as we are. We become the calling voice of Amida, guiding others to their experience of the faith of Shinjin, sharing the joy and gratitude we feel inside, even if we can't explain it. So in the midst of chaos, there is hope. Underneath the dark clouds, there is light. In Samsara, there is Nirvana. Shinran Shonin lived during a time of social and political upheaval. It was the shift from the Heian period of imperial rule by the aristocrats, the nobility, to rule by the warriors, by the samurai, by the bushi. So the shoguns, the Kamakura Shoguns, this is the time in which Shinran lived. It's also a time of great famine. Crop failures led to massive famine and pandemic diseases. So this is the 13th century. So the hope and joy and gratitude that the faith of Shinjin brings to the disadvantaged and discriminated, this hope, this joy, this gratitude continues to this day. Over the centuries, Shinran Shonin's teachings become known as Jodo Shinshu, the Shinshu of Jodo, the Hongwanji tradition. But this spirit of bringing the opening of the path of birth in the Pure Land for all people is the reason why we are here today. For more than 130 years ago, Japanese immigrants faced very harsh conditions on the plantations of Hawaii. But the faith of Shinjin, the path of birth in the Pure Land, becoming Buddha, brought hope. And over the decades, from the annexation of the Kingdom of Hawaii by the United States of America, the Pacific War, becoming a state of the Union, the post-war growth years, the end of the plantations, and now the pandemic years. This hope, joy, and gratitude that the faith of Shinjin brings people continues to guide us in times of constant change, chaos, confusion, and delusion. Because we live in samsara, there is nirvana. Because we are only human, there is Amida. Because in chaos, we have Namo Amida Butsu. And for all of us here today, on this occasion of the memorial service for Shinran Shonin, we must strive to repay our debt of gratitude to Shinran and all of the teachers who followed him for opening the path of birth in the Pure Land to us, just as we are, in the midst of confusion and delusion, just as it is, by putting our palms together, bowing our heads, and saying, Namo Amida Butsu, and trusting in all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion for the great enlightenment to come. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Okay, and well, thank you very much for listening this morning. Mahalo for listening, and we're going to go back up into the stage and finish off the service. So we'll be right back. Let's read the loving kindness metta together. May all beings be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May I be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to me. May I live in peace and harmony. May my family be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my teachers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my friends be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May strangers be happy and well.
May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my enemies be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May all beings be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Buddha, Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Let's sing Ondoksan and Gratefulness along with Ms. Naho Umitani and Reverend Toshiyuki Umitani. Let's read the Shinshu Pledge together. I take my refuge in the vow of the Buddha. Reciting the name, I will live through life with strength and serenity. I revere the light of the Buddha. I will put my effort in my work with self-reflection and gratitude. I follow the teachings of the Buddha. Discerning the right path, I will spread the true Dharma. I rejoice in the compassion of the Buddha. I will respect and help others and do my best for the welfare of humankind. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida, Namo Namo Amida Buddha, Namo. Let's sing the Nembutsu together.
Oh
The light of compassion that grasps us, illumines and protects us always. The darkness of our ignorance is already broken through. Still, the clouds and mists of greed and desire, anger and hatred cover, as always, the sky of true and real Shinji. The words of Shinran Shonin, which you can find in the Shoshinge, page 70 of the Collected Works of Shinran, Volume 1. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Nama Butsu, Namo Amida Buddha, Nama Butsu. Nama. Let's sit together quietly for a few moments. So just relax and get comfortable. If you are able, sit forward in your seat and place both feet flat on the ground. Sit up straight and align your head, neck, shoulders, and back in a straight line that goes down to the floor. Place your hands comfortably in your lap. Now close your eyes halfway, so you're looking both outwardly and inwardly. And just breathe. Breathe in and breathe out. In and out. As you breathe in, think of something for which you are grateful. And as you breathe out, just say mahalo. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just breathe. The sound of the gong will signal the end of our quiet meditation. Namanda, it's namanda, it's namanda, it's namanda. Namanda, it's namanda. Thank you very much for joining the virtual Dharma family service today. May your day be filled with aloha. We have a couple of announcements. I think the slide's going to go automatically. But there we go. The biggest one, of course, is that earlier this week, we closed the temple to non-essential in-person activities due to the very dramatic increase in cases of infection, and the positivity rate in the county of Maui. So for the next week, at least, for 20 days or so, we're going to hold off on having in-person services here at the temple. Although religious observances, for example, end-of-life visitations, funerals, memorial services, that sort of thing, will continue. We'll do this on request, causes and conditions permitting. The columbarium remains open, 8:30 to 5 every day. We do ask everyone to please follow the protocols that we put in place, which include wearing an upgraded mask and hopefully being vaccinated by the county of Maui's definition, which includes a booster shot. This is probably the safest as we're going to get. So thank you very much for your cooperation and understanding, and may your day be filled with aloha. Namanda.